off and on interview a person, say if you've interviewed a prime minister or an actor more than a couple of times,
Yeah.
they tend to get friendly with you, and you have a charismatic personality, you have an easy demeanor. Has there been a time when they get comfortable with you and they ask you, okay, by the way, just when they give you a very meaty chunk of an information or a gossip or something really juicy, they tell you, by the way, that was an off-the-record statement?
I think the first thing journalists need to realize, and I think this is something you realize only after a while, is that often when you meet people regularly, say they're, because it's your beat, a minister, a politician, a movie star, they will be very friendly with you. But there is always a difference between friendliness and friendship.
Yeah.
And I think very often we as journalists tend to confuse the two. So the general rule has to be that if he wants to talk to you off the record, it must be clear that it's off the record. If he talks to you without saying it's off the record and then says, don't use this, you use it anyway.
That was the second part of my question, which you answered already.
Right.
That how many times have you actually crossed the tape and published an off-the-record statement and faced the flak for it?
Not that often. I'm actually quite a great respecter of the on-the-record, off-the-record convention. I say to people, I'm here to do an interview. Please remember, I will quote you. If I'm meeting him, say I've gone for lunch, and we're off the record, and it's on background, it's not an on-the-record thing, then they know that I respect that confidence. But on the whole, I believe that unless you respect the on-the-record, off-the-record confidence, people will never ever talk to you.
I want to know, what is your personal view on the evolution of politics in India? Has it progressed or regressed?
It's a difficult question to answer, but I actually think it's regressed. I think you've got to realize, and this is something nobody talks about in polite company, that at the heart of every society are old hatreds, old resentments, and the key to making politics work is to bury those resentments. If you remember, the birth of India and of Pakistan was accompanied by murders, riots, massacres. It was a time of hatred, a time of violence. It's to the credit of politicians, initially on both sides, but mainly now on India's side, that those hatreds never allowed to explode, that we became a harmonious society, those wounds were healed, and that India continued to progress at a time when people said India as a democracy would never ever succeed. We succeeded. It's true of America as well. If you look at the history of America, it's a nation born in violence, a nation born out of the genocide of the Native American people, the American Indians, a nation born on prejudice and the enslavement of the black community. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible history. And yet, America ended up being one of the world's great powers, a country most of us look up to, because it had politicians that appealed to the better instincts in people, appealed to the nobler instincts. I think that was true of India. I think what we're seeing all over the world, in America and in India, is that politicians no longer bother to do that. It's much easier to appeal to the baser instincts in people, to make them hate people, to invent conspiracy theories, to give them reasons for not liking someone. Look at Trump. I mean, the secret of Trump's success was he went to white people and he awakened old resentments and made them feel they were getting a bad deal. Now, white people in America are the richest people, the best educated, and the most settled. To make them feel they're a minority in their own country and that they need to fight, you've got to be a genius at appealing to baser sentiments. And that's what Trump did. I think something similar has happened in India. We appeal now to old tribal loyalties, to people's hatreds. We arouse resentments. We talk of development, but we're never really judged on the basis of development. We talk of honesty, but corruption goes on and nothing really changes. And ultimately, when elections are won, they're won not on the basis of performance, but they're won on the basis of hatred, of evoking public sentiment. I think this is a step backwards.